at this crossroad room where I kept saying do not go into the top room because there was nothing in there, well, that is because it's technically a dead end. If we bait out the trap and go to the north room here, which is the only room that we haven't gone into yet, it's literally just a very minor stock-up room that is not worth your time. The floor will give way, the door locks behind you, and that's literally all that this room has to offer. It will spit you back in this room here, where you would have to obviously go down and left back to the room that we would normally fall through in order to get to the big chest, but we will be on the wrong side of the room, which is why I did things the way I did, so I can just mirror out of here for this episode proper. Also because we kind of ran out of time last episode because we did quite a bit. Hi guys, welcome back. Scatlink here, and we're off for more of Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and in the last episode, we've not only finished off Skull Woods by squashing Mafula, but we also went slipping straight into the Ice Palace. I cannot seem to get out of here, goddamn. Where we had a lot of differences to cover through the GBA and the SNES versions. Even though that a couple of rooms were swapped, they had the same solution, but it was made to be uncheesable if you did Crystal Dungeon 6 before Crystal Dungeon 5. And speaking of doing dungeons out of order, we're pretty much done with doing that for now. We're actually going to go back on track. We're going to be doing Dungeon 2, which is literally right next to us. Because we're going to be going right south of our house, dash over to the left here, or to the east if you want to be pedantic on the map. Whack this with our hammer, because we haven't actually taken this warp yet. We're back in the Dark World yet again. We haven't actually explored this area proper. We cut through earlier, if you remember, down that teeny-weeny passageway in order to go through the valley. Not only to get Bombos, but also bring the chest to the completely average guy that was in Gerudo Valley in the Light World, so we can get our full bottle. But we haven't explored this area yet. We've explored the top part and around the side, but not this marshlands. This swamp, as it were. And, well, it's weird, because this place has two swamps, because, I mean, what the heck is that? That's all I'm saying. Also, weird thing, if I just bash this statue, for some reason apples pop out of it. Yeah, I don't actually understand that, but there you go. I'm going to leave this cave for a little bit later, because there's not really anything in there that we can actually have worth right now. Because of how things are played out, I've got way too much money, and spoilers, there is money in that cave. 380 to be exact, so we're going to save it for later. But it's still stuff that I want to get in there for later on, so I'll probably grab it when I'm a little bit low on funds. Well, not like I'm going to be low on funds with how much money I'm getting. Look at that, friggin' 5 rupees. That side of the bank that we just explored, nothing. And obviously to the north, it was just a normal convenience store. So we do need a quick potion. We can go there, or we can, you know, just whip out the mirror and Ocarina and just fly to Sirius Potion Shop. And are you goddamn serious with that shenanigans? Again, a hidden soldier. It just never seems to cease, does it? But yeah, funnily enough, that's all that we got to explore around here. Yeah, there's not a lot to do. We're just going from dungeon to dungeon to dungeon at this point. But yeah, this is Dungeon 2. Let's hop straight on in. The Swamp Palace. It's our typical water dungeon, but, you know, considering it being the first water dungeon of the series, it's basically just a normal dungeon with a watery aesthetic. Scatlink, it is I, Sir Hasrala. Objects in the light and dark world mimic one another. If the form of a thing changes in one world, it will change the shape of its twin in the other. That's actually quite useful information. Sadly, it's only used here because we clearly cannot progress here. We need, obviously, the flippers. Same in order to reach Dungeon 5, but the thing is that we know that the Dark World, it was originally the Sacred Realm, but due to the evil wishes of Ganon, it's become a twin, or a darker twin of Hyrule, because it's trying to merge. And this is where it merges the closest. It pretty much looks exactly the same here, except for the fact that this is more of a sewer system and not a dungeon. And just so that you know, when you're going through here, using a mirror cannot warp you out. Even though this does look like a dungeon, I mean, it's got the same aesthetic as well. I did say it was really close here, but notice that this part underneath looks exactly the same. Again, no water. Again, it looks like a canal for water. So what happens if we pull this lever, pull the lever, crunk, and let the water flow, and then go back to the Dark World? Well, looks like the water's flowing here. Water's drained out here. Fishies flopping about and all that. If we go back into the Dark World, it's been drained here as well, even though no such mechanism has been messed with here. I guess the exact same switch exists in both worlds, and we were a shadow in the other one. This is where they converge the closest. So yeah, let's get the mirror off so that we don't actually do that. And yeah, this is the only time that you would have to actually manipulate something in one world in order to do something in another. Yeah, it's a shame that that's like the only time that the puzzle's there, considering it also, you know, gives you the hint. Because you might think, oh, that will probably be revisited later. Well, we've done every button pressed, good lord. We've done more than half the dungeons of the Dark World already, with this one being our 5th dungeon when it's supposed to be the 2nd, and we haven't seen any evidence of manipulating something in the Light World or vice versa in order to, you know, actually do something other than, you know, go onto a different elevation of land. In dungeons, that's the only time that happens, so... Also, we got bubbles again, but they're not called bubbles. They're something called completely different. I'll just take out these skeeters, who also tend to drop a lot of money. They're basically the water versions of the dancing cabbages, as I call them. But yeah, it's like these bubbles aren't called bubbles. Yep, that's bubble. They're called something weird, while floating skulls are called bubbles. And a thing about the anti-fairies, actually. I was facing there. I moved a bit too early. The thing about the bubbles is that, you know, the anti-fairies are technically bubbles because they are skulls that float around with little flames around them, but they're more like they're called anti-fairies because if you sprinkle magic powder on them, they get purified into normal fairies. So I don't know how I blocked that. My shield wasn't actually visible. But yeah, we got the dungeon map pretty early, and we also found the key that we actually need in order to progress. You would assume it would be behind the breakable wall. But no, it's just under a pot in the same room that you need it, so that's a thing. But yeah, we got the dungeon map quite early, which is what you would like to have, so we can actually see the whole dungeon, and most of it is on basement first floor. This is the majority of the dungeon. We got a bit on the basement, and only 2 rooms on the main floor, and that was the entry room, and another room that's seems to be the opposite of where we are. It's mostly symmetrical for the most part. As you can tell, it's literally just like one block, or a half a sector, not as wide as you would expect. But other than that, yeah, it's quite symmetrical. Also, we got a new trap here. Not much to actually say about the dungeon, I'm just mostly talking about stuff that we're bumping into here. We've got a new trap that we haven't actually seen yet, ironically enough. And it's the 4-way fire cannon. They activate when you swing your sword. Of course, your shield can block them. The red shield, anyway. But yeah, as long as you're not standing in the way when you swing your sword, they're not really much of a threat. So, grab that key. There's a switch up there. We're going to be interacting with that in a minute, because it seems like we're in another one of these places where we can't get up. I mean, it's kind of a similar puzzle to what we just did at the beginning, but again, it doesn't involve the light world and the dark world mimicking one another to the point that that's how you solve a puzzle, by interacting with something in the other world in order to do so. This switch is just in the dungeon, and it does the same thing. So, again, kind of a missed opportunity. Wish they would revisit that. This one is a vulnerable wall, because the map would tell you as well. Little tag nut leading into the next room. I don't know why I went to the boomerang. I kind of needed the magic hammer. But we'll go in here anyway. We can see that we're in a big old room here. Very complicated, but we can get a nice bomb for our troubles. And yeah, I did not need to go into that cave. I've almost got max money already. I haven't done much. Let's push this. And let the water flow. Now, this switch, ironically enough, doesn't need the switch in the light world to be pulled in order for that to work. That's completely independent, and you can tell when you're... I couldn't move there for a second. You can tell if you, like, know how to break this game to the point of walking through walls without a cheating device, and I can do that. In fact, the cheat is... the glitch is exactly the same in terms of effect from the SNES version to the remade GB version, because remember, this is a remake. Just a very faithful remake that's effectively a port. Because even though it's executed a little bit differently, it has the same result. So you quick, dodge you. They're infinitely respawning, by the way, but you can grind up on them, I'm pretty sure. Did they drop something? Maybe not. Maybe they don't drop anything. They're just to be an annoyance. But yeah, these 2 rooms that we're going through right now, you can pretty much outright skip, because it's just for a useless item, unless you're, you know, anal about getting 100% by going through every room and getting every chest, like I would. I mean, this is a 100% walkthrough, but, you know. And, you know, considering that we're in a dungeon, what do you think the really useless item is going to be? It's the compass, of course. What do you expect? That was a complete waste of time. I could have just went into both rooms and that would have been it, but nah, I need to open the chest, because that's just me. Now, there is one room that we cannot actually go into at the moment, and it's this room right here. I'm kind of being a little bit, sloppy at the moment, but I can take the damage because not only have I got way more health than I should have here, but I've also got, well, you know, the blue mail, so I can afford to play a tad bit sloppy. Also, the hammer works as a nice alternative for not using the sword if you do not want to be dealing with this. Also, it does more damage than the Master Sword at level 2, because right now we've got the Tempered Master Sword at level 3, so there's the key, and that's the room that we need to get into that the key would allow us to get into, and it has a switch for us to fill this canal once again, because you can't actually push these blocks even though it looks like that would be the solution. Yeah, it's kind of set up so that you would think to try, but there's actually another solution for it. We got to swim over it. So, let's hop back down here again. I'm gonna dash quick. Yeah, there we are. Head into this room. The pots may have respawned, but I'm pretty sure the items haven't. If I whack you with a hammer... Nope, you still split. God damn it. Whack. Just reach on over and push this. There we are. Water flows again. Now, I'm pretty sure we need to have this... the switch so that the blue blocks are up, so we'll whack it again. So we don't actually ever use this door. I mean, it's convenient, but you wouldn't be able to do everything otherwise. So, I think I'm remembering that correctly, because, I mean, if it takes more time, that will probably be the right solution. So, we will make our way back round. I would like that magic, even though I don't think I needed it. Aha! And then we can swim right over these blocks. There we are. So that bit is done already. And if we check the map right now, we're already pretty much halfway through this dungeon. Once we go through the next 2 rooms, we definitely will be. So let me hammer this quick. Nope! I went right underneath him. I thought I was going to slice him through the middle. And even by taking all this damage, I've still got more than half my health, so... Oh, really? The hammer works as well? I thought the hammer would have worked, because it's... There is nothing magical about this hammer. Other than maybe its damage output, because it's like... Because it's got such terrible range, and it doesn't even stop you from getting electrocuted. It's bloody bubbles. Well, there seems to be nothing down here, but there is a chest and a couple of pots. So we definitely want to be able to take the left side if we can. Ah, because it's watery, these blocks are a lot more easier to push. Makes sense. So we don't swim over them this time, we can actually push them. I'm guessing the other few were just cemented to the floor. Even though it's literally the exact same room. For the most part. So let's heave this out of the way. We are now pretty much on the opposite end from the entryway. I didn't mean to move the map down, I was just holding down when I transitioned. Let's get down here. It's really nice that you can use the hammer in the GBA version to smash pots. It's just so much quicker than trying to pick them up and toss them. You just press the button once instead of twice. And even then, you might press it earlier, and then it's, like, not necessary. We'll push that down and hop down here. So we can go grab this chest. Haha! 20 rupees. And funnily enough, I can carry it. So, we'll just make another loop round. I mean, if we had a certain item, we could pretty much get across the hole, but you wouldn't be able to actually do that unless you already had it. I mean, I guess it's good for randomizers, because we're working toward that very item right now. Spoilers. But yep, we need them down so that we need the orange down so we can go right by. I like how the crystals are red, but the blocks are orange. It's like, can you not have made them red? I mean, they kind of made them red in the Oracle games. There we are, we got the big key. Now, some say it might be faster to use the mirror to get back to the beginning of the dungeon and do it all again. I say it's just as fast to make your way back from, like, through the dungeon normally, to be honest. It probably actually takes shorter if you head your way backwards, because it's just these 2 rooms, then you're back to the middle. Meanwhile, you got to swim through, like, 2 bodies of water in order to get through. And all the enemies respawn again, because I've said before, if you leave the sector of the map, everything respawns. Hop down here one more time, and the item that I was on about is in this chest. Haha! Boing! It's the hookshot. It extends, it contracts. And boing! It can grapple many things. This was the game that first introduced this item, in game creation order, not, chronologically. I was about to say canonically, then that's not right. That's like me saying cannelloni in a weird way. But yes, this was the first game that introduced the hookshot, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. You can hookshot stuff like pots and chests, and it'll bring you straight towards them. So, that's what we need to do in order to get a key, and that's the item I was on about that would have allowed us to skip doing a bomb jump in the Ice Palace. But, you know, that's quite an easy bomb jump to make, and it's the only time I would do it, because then I get this early. But you could have probably done this dungeon before, doing the Ice Palace, Swamp Palace before Ice Palace. because it probably would be better, but I do it in this order because it's fun. Plus, I like a little bit more of a challenge. It also shows that you can really do some things out of order. I mean, a bomb jump's probably not intended, but it is the only one that we would normally do anyway. So I'm going to push this over here, onto this button, because if I try to step on it, again, this puzzle can technically be cheesed, but the solution's right next to it. It's not really that big of a problem. We'll check the rest of that room out later, because we've actually got to come back on ourselves. Whack you. And we're kind of just blasting through this dungeon right now. I'm not timing this right. There we are. Got him. Give me that. Thank you. Oh, and about the hook shot in terms of fighting capability, if that barrier wasn't and berries weren't in the wall, I could actually use the hook shot to hit them. And as you saw right there, when it's in use, you're invincible, and it can stun most foes just like the boomerang can. So it has a pretty much similar effect to the boomerang, but you can't move when you're using it. It can kill some enemies that the boomerang cannot. This is a dead end because I can't get around this switch, which is a problem. And no, with the GBA feature, you can't dive through the doorway, which is a shame. But, you know, that's a GBA exclusive function, and it's not used for this particular purpose. It's only there for a reason. That's why you're only underwater for like a split second. But yeah, you can be invincible while you're using the hookshot, and that goes for the Super Nintendo version as well, because obviously I'm playing on GBA. So that is not a quality of life change. That was in the original. So what we're going to need to do is push this back on the switch again, because, I mean, you know that a door actually has a gate when it has that little ridge at the top of the door. So if I come back to this door down here, that one's a locked door as well. If I come up here, this one's also a locked door. So we need to actually push that on in order to get through. And that thing was stuck to me, but as you can see there, the hook shot pretty much just took that out without issue. Should have went down here, but that's fine because we're going back into that room anyway, and we can't do anything there, so we'll just bypass the previous room, make our way round. You know where this is going to lead. See, look, he's in the wall, so I can't hook shot him. The tiny ones are really hard to get a good shot on. I mean, they're hard to take out in general, because even when you swing at them, you can't be hit much, as we've seen already. But yeah, the hookshot's also good for speedrunning, because you can hookshot stuff and zoom across the screen. Because, I mean, I think it might have the same speed as the Pegasus shoes, but I don't know, that might be faster than the charge time for dashing. Not entirely too sure. But it's a good item to have early game if you were playing a randomizer. I keep going on about randomizers. I do want to cover randomizers later on the channel. That'd be fun. And that's why I didn't go down these stairs, because these would have been underwater. Again, it's just 20 rupees each, 40 rupees, that's 60 rupees that were useless in this dungeon. I'm just going to come over here to kill you with a hook shot because I can. Maybe you would have dropped something, but I don't know what you would have dropped that would have been useful. Got bombs, got magic, got health, got rupees. So let's just head onwards. So we check the map right now. Yeah, we're pretty much on the final stretch here. We've got two little rooms, as well as the final room before the boss. Again, the boss is the furthest room away in a dead end. Again, the compass is useless. But if we try to look for the entryway... Actually, I'm going to come through here first, because if you come in here, this is actually a little stock room. Of course, if you can get into where the pots are. Because when you're standing here, they can't swim towards you. Because I'm on dry land, technically. But you can see that there's a room there. And it is actually part of the room that we're in. But there is another entryway, but you can't really see one. Get them out of the way, so I can get through here. Dodge the... Ooh, that was close. Right, so we've got a bunch of blocks, and seems like the entryway is not here. You could push every block, and nothing would happen. Just walk straight through the waterfall. If I can get the right one. There we are. Aha! And now we are here, and I couldn't really do anything about it. Actually, no, I could have done something about that. I could have chucked a bomb over the ledge, and that would have blown him up, but... 2 hearts right there. I've got blue mail. I've got plenty of health, it's fine. I can be sloppy, I can be fast. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, bummable wall there. Looks like we know how to... Look, that's one time where you can actually see the solution, even though Link technically wouldn't be able to. The player has the ability to break the 4th wall. That wall being the ceiling. Now, I hate these ones. For whatever reason, you just cannot hit them. They're just too low for you to hit. But you want to lure them out of the way, swim fast, and then they cannot get you. There is another way of killing them, and I believe that is using ether. Because that means they would either die or freeze to ice, and they cannot hit you. There we are. They're all dead, and they all dropped blues. Are you kidding me right now? Oh, they actually get swept by the current. I never noticed that. That's attention to detail, that is. Is that a GBA only thing, or was that in the SNES version as well? I don't remember that. I don't normally kill these ones, I just thought I'd show it off. So I'm probably misremembering that. Kill that, Gel? Zol? No, it'll be a Zol, because it doesn't split. It's not a Chew Jelly by any means. Chew Jellies weren't introduced into Majora's Mask. In creation order. And look at that! With the final key, we have reached the dungeon. The dungeon boss. That's the entire thing done already in just 20 minutes. Even while taking the time. This is Argyrus. I think it's how it's pronounced. I'm not entirely too sure, but he's basically a floating eyeball. In this version, he looks more like a floating jellyfish. With a bunch of things, puff clouds, I can't remember the name, but in Majora's Mask he returns in 3D under a different name, but he's effectively the same thing. You got to remove the bubbles, and they are bubbles, like, visually, in order to reach the center so you can kill him. But in this version, you have to take out every single bubble in order to hit him, or in Majora's Mask, you just have to at least get a good shot of his eye, and if you hit him in the eye with an arrow or something, then he goes to his final phase, which is pretty much inspired by the final phase in this version as well, because this is his first appearance. And I think that's pretty cool, actually, how they brought, like, a completely new... Like, they brought a 2D boss into a 3D game, but in Majora's Mask, and he's not even a boss, he's a mini-boss. It's a very epic and can take a while kind of boss. I mean, as a mini-boss, it probably is actually pretty good, because as it takes a little bit of a while, and, you know, you got the time limit, it kind of makes a lot of sense. So yeah, he... Once on the final phase, kind of just skids around the room. All you have to do is whack him. That's all you need to do. Avoid him, whack him, you're done. In Majora's Mask, you shoot him in the eye. And with that, that is the Swamp Palace done. That is the Water Temple complete. Not much to do with water. A couple of currents, a couple of swimming over obstacles. But other than that, not much water to be had. We were just trundling through shallow waters. Scatlink, thanks to you, I was able to escape from the clutches of evil. Thank you. The Triforce will grant the wishes of whoever touches it, as long as that person lives. That is why it was hidden in the Golden Land. Only a select few were told of its location. But at some point that knowledge was lost. The one who rediscovered the Golden Land was an evil thief named Ganondorf. In the manual, we never mentioned this, in the manual of A Link to the Past, he is referenced as Ganondorf Dragmire. That's his full name. And yet, even though Ocarina of Time is supposed to be the origin story of Ganondorf, his second name is never mentioned. And that's 2 games after this. Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time. Technically 3 games because of Ancient Stone Tablets, but we'll get to that at some point as well. I have plans. Luckily, he couldn't figure out how to return to the Light World. Well, remember that you have magical powers which only the hero can make use of. Like the medallions, or the rods. Not many people have magical powers, we already know. There are other magical warping points like the one you saw on Death Mountain. By using them, you can go between the 2 worlds and find the evils hidden in the Dark World. You are the only one who can destroy Gandalf, the thief. No! Ganon, the evil king of darkness. Do you understand? Yes, because as we have already realised, even if we did use the mirror to go back to the Light World, if we didn't go back to our portal, we would have eventually discovered or stumbled upon a warp point anyway. And if you try to go back to Hyrule Castle, that would also be a warp point. She's pretty much telling you that there are other ones around. So, in a way, this is a tip to tell you if you need to reach Dungeon 3, you will have to take the route that we did. But you can do that before you do this dungeon, because the hookshot isn't needed for Dungeons 3 and 4. So, yeah, the tip kind of doesn't need to be used, it's only because the dungeons are numbered. May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce. And with that, this is this segment done, but we are not done yet. We may be done in this sector, as I just mentioned, but if we use our magic mirror to go back to the Light World here, Fishy should still be flopping about. Yes, we've already messed with this Fishy once already, brought him back to the pond, but what if we bring him all the way back to Kakariko and sell him off as some nice fresh meat for the villagers to eat? I mean, there's still one person actually sitting out, but we need to somehow make it without losing the fish. So what I'm going to try and do, actually, is see if I can take this shortcut. Because, I mean, we've got to hold the fish. But if I toss the fish over here... That is not what I was hoping. That sucks. God damn it, hang on. And the water's back as well. Well, that kind of screwed up my plans completely. Let me fix this. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise that happened because the AA batteries in my GBA finally died. So let's try this again. So now we got this fish. I was hoping I wouldn't have had to do that, but I kind of flubbed. If I chuck this guy straight forward and then pick this up quickly, I might be able to pick up the fish again. There we are, that's what I wanted to do. So then we can take this shortcut so we don't have to deal with as many enemies as before. If we can just sneak by without getting the attention of every goddamn soldier in the area. I mean, it's probably better to do this before you take on Aghanim in Hyrule Castle's tower, so you don't have as many soldiers to dodge. But I like to do it now just to show it off, because it's more convenient for us at the time. Although I am a little bit worried about this guy. Might be able to get away with it. You want to stop chasing me, buddy? He's not giving up. He's supposed to take a bit of a break. This didn't work out as well as I hoped. Wow, he has not given up for a second. Could you please? Yep, I've definitely made this harder on myself. I'll tell you that. Oh boy, you're a cheeky bastard. You know that. I mean, what they're supposed to do is stop chasing you for a minute, and then they chase you again. They're supposed to just stop, take a breather, and continue chasing you. He ain't doing that. He's being a bitch. I'm gonna go do this. Hopefully reset his pathing. Hopefully this guy don't see me. I'll just stand here, being all, minding my own business. There we are. Where's he going now? Is he turning? Nope. He's just straight for... Oh, come on, really? You looked at me 3 times and you didn't chase me down then? Hello? Actually, he didn't notice me there. Okay, what's with the pathing with these guys? This red guy. Wow, man. Okay, chuck that and kill you quick. Pick this up. There we go. Okay. I should have just done that to begin with. I just didn't want to lose the fish. Hopefully I'm not actually... I don't actually know if chucking the fish on the floor and then continuing to pick him up actually screws you out of this little bonus. This is nothing mandatory. This is just an additional side quest that we can do. That was a bit of bad luck. He just happened to see me. I mean, we do move faster than... Ah, that's what's supposed to happen. He's supposed to just stop and then... Are you kidding me, man? They're just supposed to stop and then look around for a minute or take a breather. The red one just didn't want to do that. I guess they just don't do that? I never noticed. I'm not having good luck here. Yeah, seriously, do this before you take down Aghanim. I don't normally do this, but this is more exhilarating. It's fun. There we are. We solid snaked our way to the bottle cellar. Talk to the guy while holding the fish and... Hey! They say eating fish makes you smart. You have to give me your fish for this stuff, okay? Of course. And he gives you a bunch of random shit. So, I guess if you don't want to be going to the storage shed and grinding up on magic rupees, arrows, what have you... Just give him a fish and he gives you random stuff. That's the only other thing that I had to show off about this guy. This guy's been getting attention throughout the entire game so far. And that's why I wanted to save it now because, well, we leave the dungeon. We can't go anywhere else until we go back to the light world anyway. So we might as well walk back to the light world where we are. Bring the fish to this guy and where we would then stumble upon the warp to... get into the Dark World in the village area. So that's kind of the idea there, but I need to go to the Light World anyway so I can warp to the 6th point, because this is the only way to access this corner of the world in the Dark World, because this rock has nothing. You need the Titan Mitts and the flute. The flute is mandatory. We are now in the Swamp of Evil. Yep. Swamp of Evil. It sounds like somewhere that Lord Zed would probably send you before he brainwashes you, or to keep you away from the other rangers from rescuing you. But yeah, we're in the Swamp of Evil, and I've already covered half of the place already because there is not a lot to see here. Let's hop into this cave real quick. We can bomb this wall. And... Hey, I'll tell you a profitable story if you pay me 20 rupees. How about it? Sure, I've got money to spare. I've got a full flipping wallet, mate. You can have more if you want. Thank you. As a matter of fact, monster magic is making it rain in this swamp. If you can move the air with more force than the monsters, the rain may stop. Move the wind. Well, we don't have the Wind Waker. Somehow I got stuck inside him there. How did I do that? Interesting. But yep, just a little storage shed right behind this guy. If you bomb your way in, couple of bombs, couple of arrows, and couple of recovery hearts. Pretty helpful. Or pretty helpful, shall I say. But yeah, he says if you are able to move the wind, well, what allows us to do that? Well, if you remember when we got ether, I mean, to be honest, I don't even know why I'm being very cryptic, because if I just come up here, the game kind of tells you. Yeah. Manipulate the polar winds, ether. Yeah, it tells you the solution. If you don't have the medallion, you're going to have to go back to Death Mountain, so you would have to use the flute anyway. You wouldn't be able to come straight down here. So, you would have to go back to the village, climb through the mountain again, or use the flute if you don't already have it. Which you would go to the village anyway. So you would go to the village no matter what you would do at this point. Because you would need it in order to get in here. We're not going to go through the dungeon right now. Because there's actually something that I want to talk about. And that is what everybody's talked about in here. Is the ghost of Misery Mire. I mean, this is the Swamp of Evil. The dungeon's called Misery Mire. But you got like these swamp... I think they're called swamolers. Basically swamp land molars. It's either one of the... No, it's not one of these. It's actually one of the Dark World Zoras, actually. For some reason, around here, one of them is placed around here, even in the remake, I believe. But you can never see it. But if you use ether around here, you might be able to kill it. There it is. That was the ghost of Misery Mire. Basically, that's an unspawnable Zora that appears in the water over here, if I can get one to spawn. Yep, one over there. Basically, for whatever reason, the programmers in both SNES and GBA put one on the shallow water where they can't spawn, unlike the Zoras in Zora's Domain, and therefore it can't spawn, so it just never spawns, but you can still kill it if we've used like a screen nuke or something. So that's a thing. We'll check these houses in it, or huts, swamp houses, I don't know, Shrek's house in a bit. Right now, though, I want to stand into this corner and whip out the mirror. If we warp here... Oh, for flip's sake, I'm on a rock again! Why does that keep happening? Stand here. Flip's sake. There we go. Notice that we're on the other side of this ledge that we couldn't reach before. Well, you might be able to use the hookshot. I don't know if it'll reach, but this is how you're intended to do it. Pick up this rock so you can open up a little grotto, head on in, and just push some blocks out of the way. Straight on path, in order to get a piece of heart. Hubert. And we've only got 3 left to go. Only 3 more heart pieces to go. We are almost done. And we're not done yet. We've got just a couple more huts to go into. Let's go into this one now, since we are pretty much done exploring the outskirts of the swamp itself. And you're just a great fairy that I don't need, because I'm already at max health, so we will not worry about that whatsoever. And we'll make our way to the other side. In fact, these 3 huts are not accurately labelled on the map, not even by location, but at least they're represented. I don't even know what they're supposed to be. For one thing, they're blue. They're green here. So, I don't exactly understand that. But yeah, we've got an interesting looking cave down here, so let's make our way down. We can't use the mirror to get out, as before. Push that here, push that there, push this up, push this across. There we go. And that's another piece of heart. Now we only have 2 left to go until we have them all. And another 20 rupees to top our money back up if you had paid for the tip in order to solve the puzzle on entering the dungeon, which, you know, already telegraphs what you need to do because it has the symbol of the very item you need to use. And with that, we are done with this episode. In the next episode, guys, we're immediately going into yet another dungeon. We're knocking them all out in a row. And even though we did a couple of things in between, this is Misery Mire, level 6. We'll be doing this. And this is basically, I would say, the second most biggest dungeon in the entire game. With that, I'll see you guys then.